Good evening. My name's Steve. I am a Christian, libertarian, anarchist, voluntarist, what have you, who for some reason feels like streaming once a week on Sunday evening. And tonight, we're going to talk about an amazing clip that con man extraordinaire Jesse Duplantis posted himself. I'm telling you, it's the funniest thing. Misquoting scripture. Wildly misquoting scripture. Let's move on to this prosperity gospel preacher. And I don't know a ton about this guy, but I've seen quite a few of his clips. He's one of these guys that brags about his private jets and his big house and his expensive watch.
Yeah, I'm hesitating to say, I don't want to say, 'cause I'm going to get all kind of crazy and let people fight me. You'll have jewelry cost more in your house. Where? I'm telling you, listen to me. I'm telling you. My first house cost $14,700. I'm giving you a chance to write your check out. $14,700. My second house cost $81,900, and this watch costs more than that. Are you going to write me an ugly letter? Let me tell you what this, no. I can really give you some. I don't mean that pridefully.
And he's actually one of the worst. I've seen quite a few clips of him just openly bragging about his wealth. It's pretty shocking. So he has no shame whatsoever in telling his congregation and posting it online saying how big his house is. And so I don't know when this was recorded, but this was going around Twitter this past week. So I'd imagine it was somewhat recent. He addresses this concern that he is always talking about his wealth and how much money he has. And he points to a Bible verse in Psalms, and you've got to listen to this. This is absolutely great.
Let me give you a prime example why I don't care what people think about me, about what I have. Now, look at me. Look at me. I am a...
So the fact that he's addressing this, first of all, he does care a little bit, or he wouldn't be making this video, but...
very blessed man. Me and Kathy are very blessed. I mean, spiritually, physically, and financially. I've had more people criticize me over that jet. They still can't get over it. Criticize me over my house. They didn't pay for it. I paid for it. Do you understand what I say? All these different things.
Well, I mean, I understand you paid for it, but where'd you get that money from? Come on. It's your congregation and folks online or whatever giving you money because you basically tell them, hey, if you give me money, God's going to give you 10 times that money, and, you know, that kind of thing. That is what this guy basically says. So,
but let me tell you why.
Listen.
That's water on a duck's back to me. And I'm going to give you a scripture. And it's Psalms 49.
This is fantastic.
Verse 16. Be not thou afraid when one is made rich. When the glory of his house is increased. Read that and pull that up in the Amplified.
So this is where he messes up. That verse in and of itself doesn't sound too bad. This is where he messes up. He asks his wife, hey, read that in a different version.
16 of Psalms chapter 49, if you can do that. Let me read it while she's getting it. Be not...
And when she pulls this up on her little iPad, take a look at her face right here. Watch this.
Thou afraid. Be not thou afraid when one is made rich, when the glory of his house is
catch that?
Increased.
She was like, oh, watch this.
The glory of his house is increased.
And you'll see why.
Read that.
Well, it's Amplified says it, be not afraid when an ungodly one is made rich.
That's true.
When the wealth and glory of his house are increased, and goes on, for when he dies, he will carry nothing away.
I
His
understand.
glory will not descend after
See,
him.
God don't care.
So you'd be like, all right, well, how's he going to recover from this one? Because it straight up says when an ungodly man comes. So watch how he tries to cover this. Watch this. This is gold.
Godly one is made rich.
That's true.
When the wealth and glory of his house are increased, and goes on, for when he dies, he will carry nothing away.
yeah,
and
I
his
understand.
glory will not descend after
See,
him.
God don't care if someone's ungodly to be rich or godly to be rich. It doesn't make any difference whatsoever at all. You see what I'm saying?
No.
So when people criticize me, I just say, well, I'm going to occupy till I come.
Is that not the craziest thing? So let's break this down a little bit. This is the New Living Translation. So this specific verse, this is Psalms 49:16. So don't be dismayed when the wicked grow rich and their homes become ever more splendid. Now, we're going to get this into a little bit of context because the verse starts, and listen, I'm not a theologist or biblical scholar, but I know enough to know how to read the Bible. And the sentence starts with, so don't be dismayed. So it's kind of like, hey, because of the stuff I said before this, here, it's kind of like when you see therefore. I was always taught to say, they used to say, if you see therefore, find out what it's there for. Meaning, read the other verses before it, because that when you see therefore, it's kind of the conclusion. I kind of felt that way with this word so, but it says, so don't be dismayed when the wicked grow rich and their homes become ever more splendid. But let's go back, went up to verse 5. So let's kind of read this in context a little bit. Why should I fear when trouble comes, when enemies surround me? They trust in their wealth and boast of great riches, yet they cannot redeem themselves from death by paying a ransom to God. Redemption does not come so easily, for no one could ever pay enough to live forever and never see the grave. Those who are wise must finally die, just like the foolish and senseless, leaving all of their wealth behind. The grave is their eternal home, where they will stay forever. But their fame will not last. They will die, just like animals. This is the fate of fools, though they are remembered as being wise. Like sheep, they are led to the grave, where death will be their shepherd. In the morning, the godly will rule over them. Their bodies will rot in the grave, far from their grand estates. But as for me, God will redeem my life. He will snatch me from the power of the grave. And this is his verse. So don't be dismayed when the wicked grow rich and their homes become ever more splendid. For when they die, they will take nothing with them. Their wealth will not follow them into the grave. In this life, they consider themselves fortunate and are applauded for their success. But they will die, like all before them, and never again see the light of day. People who boast of their wealth don't understand. They will die, just like animals. Oof! Oof! He's the one that chose this verse. He chose this verse 16 verse to say that there's nothing wrong about boasting of your wealth. And when you read this chapter, I mean, it is clear as day, saying they can't take their wealth with them. People who boast of their wealth don't understand. They will die just like animals. I mean, he tried to save that. He tried to save it and was like, "That's true. That's true. See, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter." But yeah, clearly this guy did not read the context of that verse. But does it really surprise you? This guy doesn't read the Bible. He looks for verses that would satisfy his lust for power, wealth, success, earthly things in order to justify his motives, right? I mean, that's really what he's doing. And it's what he's been doing well at it, admittedly. But again, the author of this psalm says, "Don't be dismayed by them when they grow rich and their homes become ever more splendid."